Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Diema here, and I am back to answer a couple of questions that were asked that are more specific to me and kind of how the house runs while I'm home during the day. So I thought I would take a couple of minutes while the kids are all napping and Richard is doing some string trimming or weed whipping, whatever you want to call it, to answer a couple of those questions. The first one is about hair products, and it kind of makes me chuckle because here I am in another headband and a top knot to answer your question about curly hair products. I do loosely follow the curly girl method. I have adapted and changed some of the rules that are used for the curly girl method and kind of tweaked it to make it my own. But I have tried quite a few products in the search of finding curly hair products that work for my hair, that aren't too heavy, that are moisturizing enough, and all of that kind of stuff. So one of the things that I always tell people is to start with the cheapest options, and if they don't work for you, then work your way up. A lot of people have jumped right in and spent tons of money that they didn't need to spend on curly products that end up not working for them, or end up needing to give away because it makes their hair fall out, or it builds up on their scalp, or they end up finding out that it's not technically curly girl approved because of an ingredient or something. So I just always recommend that people start out with the cheapest options and work their way up, and there's tons of information out there on the internet about which products those are and which ones don't fit in. One website you can use to find out if something is curly girl method approved is something called curlsbot.com. You put in a list of the ingredients maybe that you can find off the internet for that product where it's sold, and you hit the button and it comes back and tells you what is in it that could be questionable, what's definitely not curly girl method approved, and if a product is approved. So it's really helpful if you are somebody who is looking for that, or if you have a child who has curly or wavy hair and needs some help with products because their hair is always a mess. That being said, I have a daughter who has curly hair, but her hair is totally different than mine, and her hair snarls so easy. It's insane to me. It's crazy, and she needs totally different products than I do, except for the deep conditioner. We can use the same one. So products that I recommend are the lines from Not Your Mother's. I recommend the Curl Talk line that they just have come out with. It's amazing. And then I also recommend the Not Your Mother's Naturals products. Now, some of them are lighter and some of them are heavier depending on the different kinds of products, but the ones that I personally like and use, you can find charts on that too, but the ones that I personally like are, I like the semi-auto motorcycle. I like the pink conditioner, and I like the yellow conditioner from those lines, and they have really long names, but that's the colors of the bottles. And then I also like their purple. Yeah, it's purple shampoo. It's more for hair that gets weighed down easily. The purple shampoo is for shampoo. It's like a low poo option, if you know what curly girl method information is. So it's more of a low poo than it is anything, and it's not really heavy, but it cleanses well and it suds well. But the one that I get the most consistent results in using is the Curl Talk line that they have. They have a shampoo, a conditioner, a gel, and a mousse, and a curl defining cream, and then they just came out with, I think, a deep conditioner and then a refresh spray. I think those are all the products that they have in the Curl Talk line. I have tried the gel. I don't love the gel. It's heavy for my hair, but I really like the mousse, and I absolutely love and adore the curl defining cream. It is not technically, I keep doing this because, you know what I mean, it's not technically curly girl method approved, but I have had incredible results with it, and as long as you're paying attention to your scalp, you won't have buildup issues. So the deep conditioner that I love is the green Not Your Mother's Natural. It comes in a tub with a black lid, and it's like green matcha apple blossom or something like that. It is absolutely wonderful. It smells good, and it softens my hair. It softens my daughter Abigail's hair really well too, and it gives us beautiful curls after we deep condition. So those are the Curly Girl Method products that I really like. I have tried quite a few others and they just didn't hold up. I've tried the Love Yourself, Love Your Curls line from Canada. It's the Lus, L-U-S. I have tried Zotos Professionals. I've tried some Texture ID stuff from Sally's. I've tried Shea Moisture. I've tried the, is it Suave? There's a brand that's like the dollar store kind of brand that's approved. And I just don't love those things as much as I love the other ones. Another product that I really like is the Carol's Daughter. It's a gel. It's like Pracaxi Nectar, Pracaxi Nectar gel. I don't think it's technically Curly Girl approved, but every time I put that at the end of my routine, I have awesome curls that hold for a little while. All of that being said, you will often see me with my hair up. I cannot stand my hair in my face, and especially with nursing babies, it's a hazard. I cook a lot, I clean a lot, and every time my hair is in my face, it's a hot mess waiting to happen. Just like wearing like a long necklace. Can't happen, or it's trouble. So there's the answer to that question. It's kind of a long one, but I get that one a lot. So I thought I would go ahead and address that and kind of tell everybody what I think about that stuff. So the next question that I got was specific to having a morning routine with little kids, and when you have a lot of young children that are close in age, like what I did back in those days. Some of you may not know this. Our close friends that we've known for a long time know this. We had our 5th child before our oldest son turned 5. So I had 5 kids that were 4 and under. And so what that meant was Mom was doing a lot of the cooking, Mom was doing a lot of the cleaning, and Dad, please don't take that the wrong way. Parents were doing a lot of the cooking, the cleaning, and also handling the squabbles amongst all of the little people. So we kind of fell into a normal rhythm, and this is what we did. Now this plays into the third question I'm going to answer today too, but number one that I realized I had to do with my kids was I had to communicate to them that Mommy was not their entertainer. I'm not my kids' entertainment. I am not your games. I'm not your TV. I'm not your toys. I'm not your books. I'm not your sheet of paper and your crayons. I'm not your entertainment. And that is something that I've carried with me from those really early days, even now through having 9 children. And I often tell my kids when they're walking around the house, schlepping around, and they're kind of like don't know what to do because they're finished with school and they're finished with normal chores, I tell them, I'm not your entertainment. Do you need me to get you something to clean? I had one kid take me up on it, and I told her she could clean my baseboards with a toothbrush as a joke, and she was so excited. She ran around the house asking me for like what soap she could use and what she could use to clean them and all this stuff. She hasn't asked again because I did let her do it. But I do try to teach my kids at an early age that Mommy's not their entertainment. When they're able to play independently on their own, I enable them very strongly to do so, because that is when a lot of them think their best thoughts. It's when they develop their imagination and do all sorts of things. How fun is it for them to try to do something if I'm telling them exactly how to do it when it's supposed to be an imaginative play? So what we would usually do, my kids have always been early risers. It doesn't matter. They are always up before me. It doesn't matter what time I wake up. If I wake up at 5, they're going to wake up at 5, which I don't wake up at 5. Don't hear that wrong. So what I usually do is, what I did back then was everyone would get up. I would set everyone at the table immediately. So this might be like 7 o'clock in the morning. Everyone would be at the table, and I would go out in the kitchen and make breakfast while I had the little kids coloring and drawing at the table. This was my husband's idea. He was really good at it, and I saw how well it worked, so I just adapted that when they were really little. So the babies, if they were too small to color or they were gonna chew on a crayon when I wasn't in the room, I gave them toys. I went and made breakfast. We ate breakfast while they colored, we cleaned that up, then we ate breakfast. Then we would get everybody's diaper changed and ready and dressed and kind of moving toward the rest of the day. I would let them watch a cartoon or two or like an hour-long movie while I was cleaning up and maybe starting a load of laundry and maybe folding a load of laundry, making my bed, that kind of thing. So I would let them watch half hour to an hour of cartoons, not Caillou, because ain't nobody gotta need none of that. Kind of complaining and whining in their life. So after that time, about an hour or so, when I got things cleaned up and back in order, it would be about snack time. So around 10 o'clock they would have a snack. After snack I would let them play some more, and just kind of, this time they could have like free play. So but something that really has helped, had helped when we had all young kids, that I was doing a lot of the cleanup and managing the cleanup, telling them, pick up this thing, put it away, pick up this thing, put it away, was I tried to keep them corralled in a certain area so that the mess wasn't all over the house. And, every room was torn apart. I tried to encourage them to kind of herd together to make their messes. I got really, really good at hearing something from the other room and knowing what it was. One time a plate of crackers got dumped on the floor and I heard the rainfall of crackers and I knew exactly what it was. Another time it was Cheerios. It was a box of Cheerios my twins got into and they dumped it down and I heard pretzels was another one. But so they tended to herd together, and a lot of people comment about that now, that our kids tend to just kind of like, they're like ducklings, they kind of just follow each other. And we often didn't have yards that had fences. We still don't have a yard with a fence here, and we have 55-mile-an-hour road, a football field in front of us. But my kids tend to herd together, and I encouraged that from a young age, so that they would make one mess in one area. So they would play after their snack time, and I would just let them free play. I might sit down and read books to them. I read a lot of books in those days, and I kind of learned to let go of the perfection of what the house looked like in exchange for loving on and sowing seeds in my kids' lives. That was a hard lesson to learn, but it was something that God really had to work into me. So after we played for a little while, it would be lunchtime. And that was our morning. So then we're going to have lunch around noonish, and it was me making the food again. So I would just have the kids sit at the table and look at library books while I was making lunch, or color while they were at the table, so that I could make lunch and get it on the table without them like redestroying everything. And then after we ate lunch, I would corral them in a cleanup, and I would help them clean up, and I'd just sing the cleanup song, like from Barney, clean up, everybody, everywhere. I think that's Barney. Anyway, I would sing the song, and then everybody would go to nap. Yes, everybody, including my 5-year-old, went to nap. As we speak, my oldest kids, who are almost 12, almost 11, almost 9, and almost 9, they're all still laying down. We do that 3 days a week. They don't have to sleep, but they have to lay there and be quiet. They can look and read books, but for the most part, they need to be respectful of the other ones around them that are resting. And I encourage my kids that when they're teenagers, they're going to beg me to sleep. So they better embrace this time now in their lives. That's kind of what I tell them. So, and then that leads me to, that was like our morning up until like 2:30 in the afternoon. And then we'd have more playtime, more free time, and then dinner, and we'd eat dinner and then clean up and get ready for bed. So that was kind of the way that the day would flow with little kids. But my number one thing was I would teach them that I was not their entertainment. So that moves me on to preschool. I get asked a lot about preschool, and I used to be one of those that thought that if I didn't get my kids starting to try to sound out words at the age of 2 and 3, that I was going to destroy their college future. For lack of better phrasing, that's just kind of what I thought. And I'm no longer that person, because I've watched enough of my kids naturally grow through this process where they get curious and then they pick it up really fast without me having to force it or drill it into them. I tried with my oldest to force him to learn letter sounds and math and stuff before he was like 6 and 7 years old, and none of it stuck until he hit the age of 7, and he just was able to kind of pick up things at his own pace. I finally started listening to all the years and years of wisdom before me from all the moms who tried to convince me with many, many kids They tried to convince me like you don't need to do anything formal. So when I get asked about preschool, which I get asked a lot, I do not recommend any formal lessons for preschool unless your child is like 5. Then I'll tell you what you can start doing with them. But it's short. It's 5 to 10 minutes a day of your time, like of that kind of formal lesson time. The rest of it is letting them learn through play, teaching them how to care for their own bodies, like how to change their clothes, how to wash their hands, how to wash their face, how to blow their nose, how to be respectful to the people around them, by playing with their own toys and not snatching, and communicating when they're frustrated with something, or they need something, not groaning, mumbling, and grumbling. That's kind of my focus when they're preschool aged, is to teach them how to love others around them, how to love the body that God gave them, and how to clean up their stuff. So that's my main focus. I usually have a little kid with me learning something, like while I'm cooking or cleaning or whatever. It's not uncommon for me to have a kid like right up here under my armpit watching me do it. I often am stirring stuff and kids are watching. If it's not a time where I want them to stir it, I just tell them to stand there and don't touch and just watch mommy, and they'll have a turn on a different day. And I might have to repeat that 900 times depending on their age, but it's just how we've started working things in our home, and everyone gets used to it. Let's see. For preschool, that pretty much covers it. Oh, and then what else? Well, if they can't clean up their toys, they don't need to learn 1 + 18 is 19. Like, they just don't need to. They don't need to learn how to read words if they're not picking up and putting their toys away. If everybody's tripping over everything they're playing with, it's just kind of crazy and chaotic. So I do have a 5-year-old who has started wanting to like learn letter sounds. So I have slowly started using sandpaper letters from like the Montessori type of thing to teach her letter sounds, which is how I've started teaching all of my kids to read phonetically, starting with sandpaper letters. And she's starting to do that. She loves it. But the reason I started doing that with her at the age of 5 was because I noticed her over my fifth child, Malachi. I noticed her over his shoulder starting like just making the sounds. So I just kind of casually started playing with her with it, and she started to love it. So I recommend reading to them a lot, playing, allowing them to play, allowing them to paint, allowing them to play with Play-Doh, allowing them to play with buttons, teaching them to clean up, teaching them to change their clothes, teaching them to use the bathroom, teaching them how to communicate effectively when there's something wrong to the best of their ability when they're certain ages. Those are the things I recommend for preschool age. All of the formal stuff can wait. Nobody on a job application or a college entrance exam asks a person, how old were you when you learned how to read? When did you master the fact of 1 + 1 = 2? That stuff does not ever show up on any of those kinds of applications. So I've learned to change my focus and to not be too stressed out when I'm doing it differently than somebody else. So those are the questions that I'm going to answer today. If anybody has any more questions or anything that branches off of these things, go ahead and leave it in the comments below, or find us on Instagram and leave a comment there on the most recent post, or send me a message, and I will get to your question as soon as I can. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye.